So I've been saying for quite some time that I have got a full and final watch on the way, delivered. Here it is. It's my second Rolex and it complements my Datejust 41 excellently. But in all truth, I've bought a watch that Rolex couldn't give away a few years ago. Yeah, I've bought a bit of an ugly duckling of the Rolex world, and bizarrely and predictably, I've bought it with no papers and I've paid over fucking retail. What a knobhead. That's right, it cost me 6,400. I got a bit of discount on that, I did, but it's a 2017, no papers. Now, ultimately, you want a full set, don't you, when you're buying a watch, especially a really expensive watch like this one. But my thoughts were, I'm buying it from a respectable buyer. It's obviously going to be real. And if I need to in the future, I can send it away, get it serviced at Rolex, and then I'll get the service papers back, which will prove its authenticity. But ultimately, my plan is that I'm not going to sell this watch. So the box, the papers, they'll be stored in the cupboard and I'd never see them again for God knows when. And that is genuinely my thought process, that I've got a really fancy watch and I've got this tool-tastic plain watch for everyday wear. And that's my plan. I'm not going to buy any more watches now. And in all honesty, in this last month or so, when I've had two Rolexes, my other watches have become a lot more redundant. Now, granted, when you buy a new watch, all your other watches become redundant anyway because you like your new watch most. But for me, I've always put Rolex at the top of the list. I've always had a real soft spot for them from when I was a lot younger. And now I've been lucky enough to be able to afford two. I want to wear two all the time. Anyway, let me tell you what I've bought. And that is, drumroll please, an Oyster Perpetual grape dial 39mm. Unbelievable. So the grape dial, literally, you could not give it away a few years ago. Every Rolex AD you went in, up and down the country, even abroad, they didn't have anything in, but they had an OP39 grape dial, didn't they? I'm sure you've experienced it yourself. I definitely have. I've been in Manchester and all they had was a grape dial, and I liked it, but it's a little bit far out there having a frigging grape dial. It was a big step for me even today, and as you can see, I'm wearing it now and I've got the jumper to match. Pathetic, I know. But a little story time for you. My wife took me to Geneva a few years ago for my birthday, and I had a serious amount of money in my pocket to buy a watch. And this was in the window in Geneva, the only watch there, and I nearly went for it, and I ummed and ahed, and then I nearly went for the Tudor Black Bay, the blue one from Bucherer. Again, I shit out basically. I didn't get any of those watches. So this, being in Geneva on my birthday, always sort of played on my mind. And truth be told, I bought this from a company called Charlfish down London, and they had this and the white dial Oyster Perpetual for the same money. I could buy them for the same price, which was £6,400. Both of them was 2017. Both of them had no papers. So I had a choice of a more popular, easier to sell white dial. But I didn't want it because ultimately I've got the Globemaster, which is a white silver dial. I'm never going to be selling that. So if I had a Rolex and an Omega, both with similar dials, they just counteract each other. So I didn't go for it. I went for the grape dial. A little bit brave, a little bit out there. And I thought, well, at least at this sizing watch, the wife could wear it, she could enjoy it. And I thought, grape dial, it invokes, being on the Riviera with a red wine. And she just turns around and goes, I don't frigging like purple. And you're like, oh yeah, it's just a purple dial, isn't it? Not grape. So marketing, bit of a ploy there. But yeah, a purple dial. I've been banging on for a long time about wanting a bright coloured dial for the summer. And it's probably more of a winter colour if I'm honest. But having a bright dial colour, because it's so far out there, it seems to go with most outfits. In a lot of lights, it looks dark as well, so I get away with it. And the dial is probably the last thing you see on the watch when I'm looking at it. I look at the case, the polishing, the bracelet, all Rolex quality, all amazing. No micro adjustment. Yeah, it's a little bit of a bugbear, but truth be told, when I wear the watch, I've 99.9% of the time it had a good fit. And because it is quite a slender, small watch, that when it does ride down on your wrist, it doesn't feel too bulky or uncomfortable. So it's a better wear than my Datejust 41, to be honest. And with the extra weight of the gold on that watch, this does make it an easier watch to wear on a daily basis. So for me, it's gorgeous, it's easy to wear, it's under the radar, and it's put a lot of my watches on the back burner, to be honest. And I'm going to have to do a state of the collection video soon, because ultimately a lot of them watches I'm just going to have to sell. I don't have to sell them, but when you look at watches in a box, I don't see a great collection. I just see money sit there doing nothing. So yeah, I'm going to try and slim the collection right out. I have 2 or 3 watches. I got away with buying this one so we could share the watch. But she don't like purple, unfortunately, so I'll just have to keep both to myself. So I just thought I'd let you know, guys, I've got a new Rolex. It has put all the other watches in the shade. The Globemaster I'm going to keep for obvious reasons. The Datejust I'm going to keep older for a long time now. I'm not going to lose any money on it with a quick sell, but, you know, security-wise, Flash Harry-wise, it is something to be considered. But ultimately, I've got the watches that I wanted. I don't know if you remember, in a previous clip when I first started watch hunting, I actually said this. A 2-tone Datejust and an Oyster Perpetual 41. So yeah, it's not quite the 41 that I wanted, but money, I mean, this was over retail, but it's discontinued. I'm never going to see it again unless I buy it now, because there'll be less and less of them out in the market. The 41s are they're just stupid money, and it's not that much more of a watch to pay double the money. So for me, it's an obvious choice. I've got a Rolex, I've got an easy to wear Rolex, I've got an under the radar Rolex, and for me, that's what I want, along with a little bit of flash. Right, guys, let me know what you think. Have I made a bit of a clanger buying the grape dial? It is definitely not for everyone, is it? But it's my choice, and I've got the jumper to match. Right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.